There is a revered manufacturer with a passionate following whose participation in the TT goes back 63 years. The beautiful sound of the bikes is unmistakable, and the machinery has been piloted by some of the greatest ever road racers. This is the Ducati Isle of Man TT story. The family most associated with Ducati at the TT are father and son, Tony and Michael Rutter. So what better way to start than to watch a sequence of clips of Michael going over the mountain section in the 2017 Lightweight Classic TT. Tony Rutter scored TT wins in the Formula 2 class in 1981, 82, 83 and 85. He was runner-up in 1984, the same year he would finish third in the Formula 1 race. Among Michael Rutter's achievements are a fine third place in the 1996 Formula 1 race, plus the fastest ever Ducati TT lap, which he achieved aboard a 10.98 Ducati way back in the 2011 Senior TT. His average speed, 128.717 miles per hour. Well, you've probably never seen a road racing Ducati fly like this before. This is Michael taking Ballaugh Bridge, and photographer Nick Wheeler was well positioned to take this superb shot. Tony Rutter passed away peacefully on 24th of March 2020, aged 78, and is greatly missed on the island on which he had so much success. Ducati made a highly impressive TT debut in 1958, finishing second, third and fourth in the ultra-lightweight race. But the marque would not have a TT victory to its name till 11 years later, when Alistair Michael Rogers won the 1969 250cc production race. Chas Mortimer taking third place on a Ducati. It was Mortimer who won the same race the following year, bagging his first of 8 TT victories. The mid-1970s saw some impressive Ducati performances, but unfortunately due to some cruel twists of fate, no race wins. A particularly unlucky rider was Roger Nichols, who along with teammate Steve Tonkin led the epic 10-lap, 375-mile production TT in 1976. Nichols breaking the production lap record in the process before mechanical issues forced them out of the race with a lap and a half to go. Nichols was then denied victory in the 1977 Formula One TT in controversial circumstances. The weather was absolutely dreadful during that race, and after 3 laps, Roger had stopped for fuel, with Phil Reed 22 seconds behind him and due soon for his pit stop. While this was happening, race officials were meeting to decide if the race should be shortened, and they agreed it should be cut to 4 laps. Before an official announcement had been made, an official from Honda had found out this information and relayed it to the Honda pit crew just before Reed was due to refuel. His team knew he had enough fuel to complete the shortened race and win, which he did after being signalled not to take on fuel. Luckless Nichols brought the big Ducati home second. The summit of Beery Mountain, and below the Glen Helen Valley through which the TT course threads its meandering path. On the 3rd of June 1978, I walked from this spot with my late father to watch the Formula 1 TT featuring Mike Hailwood aboard a Ducati making a sensational return to the TT after an 11-year absence. Our destination that day, the excellent spectating area at Laurel Bank. At 8 miles into the course, Laurel Bank was one of the first points of the course to get some idea if Mike and his bike were going well in the race. 50 seconds separated Hailwood from main rival Phil Reed on starting time, and fans here had their watches out, keen to calculate on corrected time how the race was unfolding. I vividly remember both Reed and Hailwood passing through here on that first lap, both very smooth and stylish. And when it became apparent that Mike was indeed going well, the crowd went wild, cheering and clapping. It was actually Tom Herron who was holding second place on that first lap, just a few seconds behind Hailwood, with Reed in third. But Herron would go out of the race on lap 2, followed by Reed later in the race, giving Mike a comfortable lead. The race was effectively in the bag, and the only question mark was, would the big Ducati hold together to the finishing line? On the final lap, fans on the hedges wheeled Mike towards the finish. He later recounted being able to hear the fans around the course cheering. History was indeed made as he crossed the line and the island was filled with a wave of emotion. The greatest comeback in TT history was complete, and the man regarded by many as the greatest road racer ever was still the best. And all this was done on the now legendary 900 SS Sports Motorcycles Ducati. What is thought to be the original machine returned to the island in 2018, and John McGuinness took it for a memorable parade lap to commemorate 40 years since that great event. In the 1990s, Ducati were producing some great sports bikes, such as this 748. Their superbike and supermono machinery were tipped for great results in the 1995 TT, ridden by top stars including Robert Holden, Ian Duffus, Simon Beck and Michael Rutter. But they will be pitted against the might of a quartet of Works RC45 Hondas, ridden by Joey Dunlop, Phil McCallan, Steve Ward and Nick Jeffries. It proved to be a memorable race, and I was there with a camcorder capturing some of the action. The footage begins with action early in the race, with Joey Dunlop, Robert Holden, Phil McCallan, Bob Jackson and Simon Beck exiting Molyneux's corner at the end of Cronkavody Straight. The footage of later laps is from the approach to the 11th milestone, and then the 11th milestone itself. Well, it was Phil McCallan who went on to take victory by 18 seconds from Joey Dunlop. Simon Beck finished a fine third place ahead of the two other RC45 Works Hondas. After Beck's fine F1 performance, things went from good to even better for Ducati when Ian Duffus took second in the senior and Robert Holden won the single-cylinder race, an event he finished second in the year before.